What's up, YouTube? It's the Dunces Podcast, episode 5. I'm out here with Isandro and my boy Johnny. Johnny, what you call yourself last time, man?
Bro, Dewey J, bro. But I don't have the Dewey thing.
It's just Jay. It's just Jay this time.
This is Jay today.
Our receding hairlines for the fans. So today we don't really have a lot to talk about, but we do have some very important news going on in the NBA, and that is that the Houston Rockets have hired the new head coach, Stephen Silas. Guys, how do you guys feel? How are you guys feeling about Stephen Silas, man?
Well, for me personally, I think it's a good hire. The number one thing the Rockets have been lacking on is efficient scoring. As we all know, we know Russ Westbrook's probably the most inefficient scorer in probably NBA history. James Harden isn't efficient as well, but he was a part of the same coaching staff that probably had one of the most efficient offenses in NBA history last year with the Dallas Mavericks. He's worked with Steph. He's been an assistant for 19 years. Who knows? Maybe he can expand James Harden's game. For me personally, if James Harden was more of a mid-range player, I really feel like his game could develop so much more, but we'll see what happens. And the thing that they lack is efficiency, and he can bring that, I think, personally.
So that's a good hire. You think that he's going to be the one to push this team to where it needs to be? Because last podcast we were talking about what needs to be done for this team because they were down a coach and they were down a GM. You're saying that this coach would be the guy to propel them to new heights?
No. They don't have the personnel to win. They don't. They still don't have a center. They still have Russell Westbrook. No, it's not enough. But can they win some games? Yeah, of course. Can they get to the second round? Probably. But no, they don't have enough.
I think right now it's also really tough to look at it because, for one thing, they don't have a general manager. You don't know what moves he wants to make. And, whatever that happens, also in free agency, who are they going to go out and get? Are they going to go after that big man? Are they going to stick with what they have? There's still a lot of unanswered questions. What I do like, though, is that Stephen Silas, he has been an assistant coach, like you said, 19 years. He coached great guards in Kemba Walker, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Luka Doncic, and of course other great, solid players. But Harden and Westbrook, right? They're two guys that are very ball dominant. And like you said, if Harden would play more mid range, and he'd be unstoppable, even more unstoppable than he already is. But the thing that's there is that they don't have a big, so there's no defense can be played. Russell Westbrook is, like you said, very inefficient. You don't really know what you're gonna get out of Russell Westbrook. The only thing you do know is intensity. But sometimes that intensity could be too much that it's a fault. It could be like maybe he's trying too hard to do something when in reality he probably should just calm down and relax, right? And you have just a bunch of unanswered questions, but I think this hire is maybe one step closer to something good for that organization. Doesn't mean that they can or will win the championship because I do believe that there's a lot more that they need to do. But this is definitely a hire that has kind of jump-started, of what can happen to this team. And I think it could be something good, but you also never know with Russell Westbrook. I love him, but he is not.
The West is just – there's so many good teams in the West. For me personally, this team doesn't have any future unless they just rebuild from scratch because the West it just gets better and better.
Yeah.
The Lakers are still Lakers. The Lakers are still going to get better. Clippers are still here. Warriors are still there. I don't even know if the Rockets can even beat, I don't know, the Mavericks. I don't know if they can beat the Pelicans next year in the first round. I just don't think they have enough. But maybe they can make some moves. Who knows? We'll see.
That's a good point because I've been feeling that way too. There's so many good teams in the West. It kind of just feels like a lot of teams are in no man's land. They're not quite contenders, but they're definitely not lottery teams. So where are they going? What do they want to do? It kind of just feels like they don't know where they want to go.
What are those teams you think are in the West? Those no man's land teams.
Well, one team we were talking about before was Phoenix. Jayson had brought out, I don't know if it was in a podcast or maybe it was just we were just talking, but he did bring out that they were doing really well in the bubble, but then that didn't quite cut it. And we were kind of just talking about what was missing from this team. Like maybe they should just start to rebuild. Do they trade away D-Book?
Well, I mean,
think?
they are in the rebuilding process right now, right?
Building.
They,
Kind of feels like it's 1 foot in, 1 foot out though, because
What do you mean?
they still have D-Book, and if you're going to rebuild, why would you rebuild with D-Book? You know, you want to get rid of him to aid in the rebuilding process. You know,
Yeah.
First of all, D-Book is not going anywhere. D-Book is a superstar in this league, and the rebuilding process is rebuilding around him. So they
and
have
that wouldn't be rebuilding; that would just be putting pieces around him.
rebuilding. Rebuilding doesn't mean rebuilding is a process. The Sixers are still rebuilding. Just because we're rebuilding doesn't mean you have to scrap everything. Rebuilding is it's a process.
Like it's rebuilding, but there's like different kinds of rebuilding. There's like different stages to it, like different levels. Like
there's like state.
Then there's like a rebuild where you're kind of rebuilding around the star, right?
Yeah, there's stages, right? Right now they're good enough to make the playoffs. Now they have to make the playoffs. That's their stage right now.
See, I don't even think they're that good. I think the Suns, look, they did great in the bubble. Like that was insane. They should have made the playoff. However, now you're going in with a roster that basically everybody knows. Unless they sign a good or a solid second option, because in reality, who is that second option? Is it Kelly Oubre? Is it DeAndre Ayton? And if it is DeAndre Ayton, you're expecting, for him to do well after we've seen all these bigs, Jokic, Anthony Davis, Giannis is still considered a big. Like, he's going to have to go up against a lot of these guys in the West. Will he be able to hold his own? Because he hasn't really proven that yet. Doesn't mean that he's a bad player. I just think that Phoenix still needs to add a little bit more scoring or just some type of defense. That's a team like we're talking about. That's a perfect example of a team in no man's land.
I don't think so.
They could be in the playoffs, or they could be at the bottom of the West again. Like, there's just so much uncertainty with that team. And to be honest, sometimes it's not even because of the players. It's because of that owner. Robert Sarver is the worst, besides Dolan, obviously, but Robert Sarver is one of the worst NBA owners. So I think Phoenix is one of those. Possibly Houston can be considered in no man's land, but I don't even know if we can consider that yet, because even with the roster that they had, that team went to the second round of the playoffs. So is that no man's land? I don't know. I don't think so. But if we're talking about no man's land, I think Phoenix epitomizes what no man's land is.
I think Phoenix has my vote too. But Johnny, clearly disagree.
First of all, the Phoenix Suns have the 12th best offensive efficiency in the NBA. This is a very, very efficient offense. With Ricky Rubio, DeAndre Ayton is in his second year. He's improved every year. His first 2 years, he only put up numbers that Tim Duncan only put up his first 2 years. Once he improves his three-point shooting, as a consistent three-point shooter, he's going to get better. Cameron Payne is there holding down the bench. Ricky Rubio. Devin Booker is going to emerge into that star that everyone knows he can be. Kelly Oubre, we'll see how he comes back from the injury, but Kelly Oubre, he did great things. We'll see if he can be a consistent three-point shooter. But if the Suns, I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see if they're scheduled. But I feel like the Suns can make it to the first round, not win. But I don't think they have during no man's land, because they have a really bright future, especially if they can continue to, bring in some pieces. But the problem is Robert Sarver is cheap.
Yeah. This is exactly what Jayson was saying. Like you said, they have a bright future. It's been like that for the past couple of years, but
no, it hasn't. This after last year, this is where it starts. This is where they start. They're winning.
But okay,
they have to start.
I get that, but at the same time, it's like, they've had D-Book for 5-6 years now. They just now got in Ricky Rubio, who at the time wasn't even a good signing. Now looking, obviously, this past season.
No, it was a good signing.
And he fits Devin Booker so perfectly, because Ricky Rubio just needs the ball to pass. Like, he doesn't even need to shoot. Like, Ricky Rubio is gonna get D-Book his buckets. And DeAndre Ayton, you're right, he has improved, but that's expected from a number 1 overall pick, right? Like, DeAndre Ayton, and I'm not saying he's a scrub because he isn't. DeAndre Ayton is going to be, I think, one of the best centers in the league one day. But can he hold his own defensively? Sure, he made a lot of good improvements this season, but does that mean that he's going to be able to hold his own defensively against Cat, against Jokic, against Joel Embiid, against Anthony Davis? I don't know. And I think this 8-0 that we saw in the bubble was great. It was beautiful to watch. But could it have been a hoax? Maybe. Because I really don't know with them. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I think they need another scoring punch to help out D-Book. Who is that player? I really don't know. I think Danilo Gallinari would be a good signing for them. But
Gallinari is gonna go to a championship team. He said that. He's gonna take less money to go to a championship team.
So it's stuff like
he's
that.
Gonna take. We were actually talking about this. Do you think Danilo is gonna take? Because Jason, you told me that he feels that Danilo deserves the 16 to 18, right, Jason?
Yeah,
he deserves around that range of money.
Gallinari,
16 to 18 million, bro, you're bugging.
I said
16.
I said 12 to 18. So 12 to 18 million, yeah, like that. That for Gallinari, for what he did this past season, he definitely deserves that.
He deserves it. But for a championship team, they can probably only afford 7-8 mil for a year.
Yeah,
and he said he wants to win. If you want to win, that's what you got to do.
Which is why I believe Miami would be his best fit. And if it's not Miami, then let's bring it back to Houston. If Danilo Gallinari goes to a team like Houston, who, he would be kind of perfect because he's a shooter. He's not a good defender, which is why you would need to find somebody else alongside him. Who? I don't know. But Danilo Gallinari could go to a team like Houston, like try to elevate that team. So sorry about that, guys. As you can see, Johnny's in a new setting. But he has some technical difficulties, but we're back now, so don't worry about it. No one will ever stop the Dunces. Is that what? I don't know if that's a saying. But
I'm pretty sure it's absolutely a saying.
I think that should be our new motto, to be honest. No one can stop the Dunces. But so yeah, like I was saying, right? Danilo Gallinari, there's a lot of great teams for him. But I think the Rockets would be a good fit. But yeah, they don't even have a general manager because their general manager quit. He left and he is off to Philly. So that's another topic we wanted to talk about. How do you guys feel about Daryl Morey being the president of basketball operations? Not the general manager, but the president of basketball operations for the Philadelphia 76ers. How do you guys
feel? Does that translate well? I'm just thinking, I'm a little unsure about this. What do you guys think? Does that translate well? GM to president of basketball operations?
I think in this case, it will, because Daryl Morey, he's the president, right? So it's him at top, basically. And then it's Elton Brand, who hasn't made the best decision so far in his tenure.
Is he the GM or Elton Brand's the president of basketball operations?
So Elton Brand is the GM, and the president of basketball operations.
He's the president. Oh, gotcha.
So basically, anything Elton Brand wants to do now has to go through Daryl Morey, which is great, because Elton Brand has been criticized a lot. He overpaid Tobias Harris by a lot. He overpaid for Al Horford by a lot. He let Jimmy Butler walk. He let JJ Redick walk. Like, a lot of the things that he did wasn't too good. But one thing he did do well was, we talked about it last week, was hire Doc Rivers. Now Daryl Morey is kind of like the man in charge. So anything Elton Brand wants to do, he has to talk to Daryl Morey about that. How do you guys think that fit is gonna look like? Like, because we know how Daryl Morey is. He's a very analytics type of GM. Analytics have shown that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid haven't really worked well together. Obviously, it's personnel, but how do you think Daryl Morey is going to try to tweak this team? Are they going to keep them both? Or are they going to trade them both? What do you guys think?
It's going to be interesting with Daryl Morey because obviously Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, they don't work together, obviously, because one clogs the paint and the only way the other ones, the only way Ben Simmons can score is by driving to the rim. But so the question is, they need more spacing. And obviously spaced out basketball, which Houston did all last year, something the Sixers don't have. So the question is, but that can be changed if Ben Simmons can shoot the basketball. Yeah. Will there be a precedent for Ben Simmons to start shooting a lot more? We'll see. But if he doesn't shoot the ball, I mean, this is going to be seeing the same thing every year. I mean, they're just going to clog the paint. The offense won't be as efficient. Al Horford's still going to be there. So we'll see what moves he makes. Personally, I think if Ben Simmons doesn't start shooting, I think trading Joel Embiid now would be the best option. He's injury prone. I mean, a lot of teams need a center, and you could just surround Ben Simmons with shooters and let it rock, you know?
Nice.
But I like the move. This team, we know that they're a great team defensively. They're a standout team defensively. Yeah. But if they get it together offensively, which is Daryl Morey's calling card, they can be a championship team easily because they can defend. We'll see what happens with Tobias Harris. I don't know how Tobias Harris fits on that team.
Yeah, so just pause on that real quick because we just got our other dunce over here, man. Jeremy, what's up, man? We waited on you for a bit.
Sorry, guys.
Bro, it's all good. So right now we're talking about Daryl Morey being the new president of basketball operations. So Johnny was just giving his take on Philly, and he actually made a really interesting point. It's something that I've kind of been saying for the past year or so, or basically when Philadelphia went on that run in the playoffs. Ben Simmons' rookie year. It was when Joel Embiid went down, right? They signed Marco Bellinelli and they signed Ersan Ilyasova. Ben Simmons went off in his first year in the league. Ben Simmons was crazy. And the reason why is because he had so much spacing.
PJ Redick was really good for him as well.
Yeah. I mean, just remember that when Ben Simmons started playing, how many years he was already in the league already?
It was only one. And
like, it was Embiid.
No, Embiid was in the league for 2.
Embiid, all right. Yeah.
I count Ben Simmons as a rookie that year, but that's a whole topic for another day. but my point is that, like Johnny was saying, right? If Daryl Morey is going to kind of bring in some Houston basketball into it, Joel Embiid doesn't work. You trade him now. That's a great point because you said it too. A lot of teams need centers. Personally, I think the best team for Joel Embiid that could also make a good trade to Philly, and it's not because I'm a fan of them, but I think Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn could use Joel Embiid, trading away players like Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, and Karis LeVert. We do lose a lot of scoring, but in reality, we already have Kyrie and KD. Then Joel Embiid.
But that's too much. It's like you're giving too much value to Philly with that trade. You give him too much value. That's like a big. Yeah, keep in mind you have Kyrie, all right. You have KD, and you're forgetting Jordan too. That's your rebounder. But on top of that, Embiid is also a scorer, and he could pick up your rebound as well. So you have like already a big 4 already by itself. Because at least Embiid, who's gonna play the 4th spot? Embiid, or
so it would.
Well, first of all, this shouldn't be a conversation because obviously they can't get the money to do that trade, and obviously that wouldn't work.
The money does work actually. I did the NBA trade machine the other day, and it did work. The money worked.
With who?
So you trade away Karis LeVert, who's making $16 million. You trade away Taurean Prince, who's making $30 million. Right there, that's $29 million. You also add in Spencer Dinwiddie, and you add in Jared Allen. That maximizes that money to get Joel Embiid. Today, Johnny. Every time Johnny
too fire from Arizona,
the state, the country.
To be honest.
Once again, the Zoom is stopping a black man from succeeding. I'm not surprised. It's just the world I live in, man.
Oh man, well, this is a whole different issue. But
that's a different issue.
That
Take
definitely.
that to your own podcast.
It's systematic oppression, bro.
An entire
It's systematic oppression that's stopping me right
Okay, Johnny. Okay,
John,
Johnny.
we're here for
I
you.
believe you.
We're here for you.
We,
now.
Who hurt you?
So now, Jeremy, the last thing that you were saying was that how will KD, Kyrie, and Joel Embiid work, right? So just elaborate a little bit more on that so that I can give my take on how.
This shouldn't even be a conversation. Joel Embiid is not going to the Nets.
that is true. I mean, I can't see that scenario working out. And my personal take on it, I don't think they should trade. They're like, I still feel like they have one more piece to fit it all right. I still feel that. I still feel like they can make it work in Philly. But
that should be the conversation.
But I don't think. But if we're gonna talk about trading, and let's say Embiid going to the Nets, let's say, it's the ego thing for me because you could have the talent, you could have like the work ethic, but if your personality doesn't, if you're not making the sacrifices like that, you make it far. But how far will you make it to make the dynasty run?
Yeah.
There's been plenty of teams that had personality issues that got together and win. Kobe and Shaq hated each other their whole entire run, bro. If you got talent can make up for a lot of things and win.
But you're comparing that Lakers team to that Sixers team.
Yeah, it's.
I'm sorry,
Well,
to the Nets team.
I feel
I'm
like
sorry,
it's not a direct comparison between the teams. It's more of a direct comparison between the situations.
Yeah.
And it would be kind of similar. Two teams that know that they have to make sacrifices and put things aside in order to succeed, right?
Yeah, I have a question. So you said those teams both need pieces. So I guess we can just go around. But who do you think a piece that the Nets need, and who do you think a piece the Sixers need to be contenders? Because we know the Sixers, obviously, they need shooters, right? Who do you think that could be that piece for the Sixers?
So for the Sixers, I mean, look, the Nets, I feel like they deserve their own video only because I love the Nets so much, and I'm going to talk about that a lot.
Okay.
I think
just for that.
We can talk about the Nets now, bro. It's okay.
that.
We can talk about the Nets now.
I think the Sixers, right, with them, they definitely need shooters, right? So that's like you hit it on the nose. Who can they get? Like if they want to maximize Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris has to play the 4 spot. He has to be the power forward. He can't be a small forward, and you can't have Al Horford as a power forward. You also trade away Josh Richardson. Oh my gosh, so terrible. Anyway, you also trade away Josh Richardson. Why? Because I think he's actually the most valuable one to stay if Joel Embiid goes. But if Joel Embiid is going to be there, you got to trade Jay Rich for, honestly, probably JJ Redick. Like, even though JJ Redick is older, but you just need type shooters.
But JJ Redick is a reliable shooter. Like remember, he's not there to score. Like he'll give you 10, 15 buckets a night, he will.
Yeah, and
he'll
Josh
give you that.
Richardson is one of those players that's like, he's very streaky, and maybe they kind of can't have that right now, right? Or they could also trade away.
He's really good defensively.
He is a really good defender, but I would trade away Horford in a package for Buddy Hield. I think Buddy Hield would fit that team so well because he is a sniper, man. Like that.
He is a sniper. I like him. I followed him through when he was in Oklahoma. He's a great player in college.
Yeah.
That's a good trade, but you bugging if you think the Kings are going to take Al Horford and that retarded contract. Listen, they already have Marvin Van Bagley. They'll have to give someone else. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe Tobias Harris. I don't know.
No.
I say give away Tobias Harris. Honestly, I say give away Tobias Harris.
No, if I were them, I'd stick it out with Tobias, and I trade away Al Horford and a player like Shake Milton. And
the Kings are not going to take Shake Milton and Al Horford for Buddy Hield, bro.
I'm telling you right now, there have been crazier trades. Buddy Hield is very unhappy. Luke Walton is very unhappy with him. Al Horford, he would be a great center off the bench for that team, and he'd really work well alongside De'Aaron Fox. Also,
they traded DeMarcus Cousins for Buddy Hield. And you think they're going to take Shake Milton and Al Horford?
But that's my point.
There's so much.
That's my point exactly. They traded away DeMarcus Cousins for a rookie.
Yeah, but also remember, like DeMarcus wasn't going to do anything to the Kings. That's why he went to the Pelicans.
Buddy Hield isn't doing anything on the Kings. So my point is that
wait, what did you say? What did you say? You said DeMarcus Cousins wasn't going to do anything on the Kings?
Dude, like that look, they weren't doing
the
much in the
team.
Kings.
Yeah, the team.
No, we're talking about. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about DeMarcus.
Yeah.
They traded.
No,
they traded them.
no, because DeMarcus
Cousins.
that year he was a
he was balling.
Bro, they traded him. They traded him at the All-Star game, bro.
yeah. I'm like,
But so my
I'm-
point is though, like they could definitely make that trade. They just had to throw in some picks and stuff. But at the end of the day, if they wanted to, they could. And Sacramento's a really stupid franchise, so they definitely accept it. So a player like Buddy Hield would be perfect for Philly. And now they just need another solid small forward or just a 3-and-D guy. Who can that be? I say go after Justin Holiday and go after what's this guy? Jermichael Green, a good power forward that could shoot. And Kyle Korver, just older veterans that'll know their role and that can help.
Experienced players helps a lot, especially in a team where and it is true in any playoff run, whatever, you need at least some veterans who knows how to take it all the way, at least. Not winning, but at least they know how to play in those scenarios. And I'm with you with that, Jay, when you said about Justin Holiday. Justin Holiday is a great player.
Yeah.
I find him very well. He's a good all-around player.
Yeah. And he's on the older side too, so he'll know his role. And that's why I think
Justin Holiday on the older side? Justin Holiday's pretty young, bro.
He's 32.
Justin Holiday?
Justin Holiday.
You mean Drew Holiday?
Drew Holiday.
You're talking about Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday.
Oh, yeah. Justin Holiday. Justin Holiday is 32 years old. He's the one that's that played on the Pacers. Yes.
Oh.
32, bro?
Really?
No, that's cap.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oh my gosh, do our research before. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Justin Holiday, who's 32. Drew Holiday
is 31.
39.
Bro, how is he that old? What the heck?
No, he's an older guy. So that's what I'm saying. I think he'd be a great player for them only because he plays, he can play good defense. He'll shoot. He'll know his role. Now, Jeremy, if you think what's his name, Drew Holiday is gonna go there, yeah, you gotta trade the house for him because he's making.
Yeah, I was like,
he's making a whole lot of money. And that's a team that would not trade Al Horford for Drew Holiday. But that's
you need like
that's what I'm
something
saying.
else with that because keep in mind, like, we got a whole squad there and at least already and the new head coach in the Pelicans. Who is it again?
Yeah, Stan Van Gundy.
Stan Van Gundy.
Stan Van Gundy, there you go. See, that's
you could keep that roster and that could be a contending team.
Yeah.
So with the Sixers, they obviously need another 3-and-D. I don't think they need a 3-and-D guy, but they just need a strict shooter. Signing Gallinari, Jermichael Green, that's a good spaced out four. Yeah. If Embiid can consistently shoot threes, that's a spaced out four. That can give Ben Simmons shooters.
But you're saying if Embiid can shoot, so you're saying you're speaking about a scenario where Embiid doesn't leave, which is probably more likely. But you guys kind of felt like Embiid needed to go, right?
I don't think you should go, honestly. Just my opinion.
I think
why do you feel
he probably he's one of the best centers in the league. You got a new coach, you got a new system, you got a new just see how see how it works.
Yeah. I think you have them together one more season. If they don't make it past if they don't even make it to the conference finals, then you have to break it up because
the great part is go ahead.
His best game is in the post. If you have him in the post alongside Ben Simmons is not going to learn how to shoot, night and day. It just won't happen. So you can't expect that out of him either because he's not a shooter. Ben Simmons and look, I'm not even over exaggerating this, dude. I think Ben Simmons is basically what young LeBron was. Obviously not as good, but when LeBron was like when he first started in Cleveland, I think Ben Simmons could be something like that. But even then, it's a way worse shot than LeBron. But still, you build a team around Ben Simmons like they did with LeBron, Ben Simmons will thrive. Just like he did in his rookie season when they signed Ersan Ilyasova and Marco Bellinelli. They had shooters.
But they had Joel Embiid. They had Joel Embiid on that roster too, and that roster did pretty well.
But he was injured though. Like that's the thing. When
he wasn't playing already. He wasn't.
No, in the playoffs. He was in the playoffs. He was with them in the playoffs.
But what I'm saying is that run that they went on, they went on like a 15-game winning streak, without Joel Embiid,
Yeah.
without their best player. So it's like, okay, how much do they value that duo? Elton Brand, of course, wants that duo, but Elton Brand is not a good general manager. We see it. So
No, Dalton Brand's a good general manager. What makes you think he's not a good general manager?
he let Jimmy Butler walk. He let JJ Redick walk. He signed Tobias Harris for $36 million a year to average 14 points a game. He signed Al Horford $30 million for 3 years to come off your bench. I mean,
Al Horford, I expected him to play well, Al Horford.
I personally thought that was gonna work because I mean, you can space the floor, you can pass the ball really well, but it's just not working with Joel Embiid. So that may have been a bad signing. But defensively, that's a great lineup. I mean, what you gonna do with a lineup of Ben Simmons, Harris, Horford, and Embiid? But what you said about you're right. But I mean, off the bench, he's good off the bench. I mean, he's older. He's getting older.
He's not the same one when he was in Atlanta. He's not the same player before.
Well, I think it's safe to say. I think it's safe to say decisions definitely could have been made a little better. Maybe it's not the debate whether or not he was a good GM, but decisions definitely could have gone a lot better in terms of the Jimmy Butler situation and with definitely JJ Redick. I'm somebody who remember previous podcasts I mentioned Robert Covington. That was another one, but definitely JJ Redick. You know, that was we shouldn't have.
That was bad. Yeah,
that was bad. So we can't deny the decisions. You know, whether or not he's a good GM, we'll leave that up for another time.
But the Jimmy Butler thing makes me laugh because when people see Jimmy Butler have success in Miami, everyone tweets out, "Oh my God!" and everyone says he was a bad teammate. Bro, no one was saying this when he got traded to his third team in 3 years. Yeah. Like, I don't think people realize that, no, Jimmy Butler was the problem. For example, after Jimmy Butler left Philadelphia, Brett Brown told the management that he did not want to coach Jimmy Butler again. Think about that. This is the same guy that almost led them to the Eastern Conference Finals, but he told management he did not want to coach him again.
Brett Brown is an idiot, though. Brett Brown was not a good head coach either.
Yeah, but we see that he's not there anymore. So,
but think about that. But Jimmy Butler, all he did was he was successful there, but his personality got to a point where he did not want to coach him. Think about that. Think about a player as good as Jimmy Butler, but a coach does not want to coach him. I mean, he left Minnesota. The coaches didn't want to coach him there at Minnesota. He left Chicago, but you see, Jimmy Butler, he was the problem. Okay. But his personality,
I think it's his personality. But
so about Jimmy Butler. Okay, so let's do this real quick. Just 5 minutes. We'll talk about this because this is actually really extensive. So Jimmy Butler in Chicago, right? It ended off bad because they were going into a rebuilding phase. That's fine. They trade him off to Minnesota to be coached by Tom Thibodeau, his favorite head coach who gave him a chance. He goes down with injury after they were playing well with him. He goes down in injury. Andrew Wiggins and Cat did nothing. They were terrible. They went on losing streaks. They were this close to not making the playoffs. Jimmy Butler had to return from his injury early just to get them into the playoffs. Then he gets mad at them because they aren't doing anything. They're not trying. He asked for a trade. In practice, he beats Cat and Wiggins and the whole starting line, third string guards. And that's all because he's a dog. He had to earn his things.
First of all, that story was made up, bro. That story was made up. He only scored like 1 point
because he literally facilitated. Like, he made his teammates better, which is what he did with Wiggins and Cat, right? So then he goes off to Philly.
All right, so if he made his teammates better, then why did he leave?
Hold on. So
because the system wasn't well fit for him.
Cat and Wiggins didn't work hard enough to do anything. Like that was on them. These kids were number one picks, back to back or whatever. These guys are playing like they were not, like they're not trying. Wiggins left.
That's true.
Right? When Wiggins came out of Kansas, he was supposed to be all that.
Andrew Wiggins is
when he came from Kentucky.
Andrew Wiggins is a bum. I think we all know that.
Hold on, wait. Just a bum, bro. So then Jimmy Butler goes off to Philadelphia, in Philadelphia, he's loved by his teammates and by the fans. The only reason why Brett Brown didn't want him is because in the playoffs, Brett Brown was changed up the entire offense, and Jimmy Butler got really mad at that, and he called him out on it. What did that mean? Brett Brown was like, "Oh, this guy isn't gonna listen to me." Obviously, you're changing up the offense in the second round of the playoff series, just out of nowhere. When before the plays are being run for different players, when now it's like, "All right, Jimmy Butler, you take over." That's not fair. And
But Jimmy Butler doesn't have the right to do that. He got traded mid-season.
But when he was though, he was the best player on that team, and in the playoffs, he was the best player on that playoff team. So Brett Brown is making all these random decisions, and he's not letting his team know until the moment of. And Jimmy Butler, obviously, anybody would be mad at that. You tell me if Greg Popovich were to do something like that, you don't think Tim Duncan would have told him, "Hey, listen, Pop, you told us something completely different. Why are you changing it up now?" Brett Brown doesn't.
I don't know. I don't know if Tim Duncan would question Pop, bro.
Okay, but it's something.
No,
like,
I think he would just stay quiet. It was like,
but it's something like that. That's like, you could be a great head coach, and you could tell your team something, but they'll be like, "Listen, that's not what we ran throughout the season. Let's go with what we know," and they'll go out and they'll do that. With Brett Brown, he was never a good head coach. He was just loved there because he went through that process. So Jimmy Butler was not the problem. The problem was that these other guys did not try as hard as he did because he didn't earn it.
When I say
mentality is what he's brought into Miami, which is what these guys are doing. You're not seeing Tyler Hero fade. You're not seeing Bam Adebayo play like bums. These guys are playing hard. And why is that? Because their leader is playing hard. And when their leader plays hard, everybody plays hard. These other guys are not doing that. The other guys didn't do that. Andrew Wiggins didn't do that. Cat didn't do that. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, a lot of these guys didn't do that. So,
well, I mean those guys were all-stars. Those guys were all-stars that year.
Okay, but look at how these teams ended up. Where's Minnesota? Where are they? I mean, have they been to the finals? No. I mean, have they been to the playoffs? Maybe. No. Where's the 76ers? I mean, they got swept. Right? Exactly.
Well, they lost Ben Simmons. But okay, but when I say problem, that doesn't mean he wasn't on the basketball court. We're talking about like the issues that he had with management with like 3 different teams. And granted, Chicago's management is poorly run as of late. Minnesota's management is poorly run as of late. So I understand that. But the stigma that Jimmy Butler brings to a person that hasn't won anything, I feel like that could be a problem to some players. Because Jimmy Butler hasn't won anything, but yet he comes and walks into a franchise acting like he's the big dog, but you haven't won anything.
The thing is, he comes in, a franchise that actually wants to listen, a coach that actually wants to meet him on his level. Where do they end up? And here's the thing. Jimmy Butler may have been the problem, but you just said the problem with these teams. You just mentioned the problem with these teams. It's obvious the problems that these teams have. Yeah. Jimmy Butler was not the problem for these teams.
Yeah, and
well, I mean,
Jimmy had the right attitude. He had the right attitude to play. He had it.
Bro,
he wanted to win. But thing is, not everybody in the same level.
The drama that he caused in every single franchise he went to, bro.
But that's
I think
it's caused the drama that like the media made it as it was him that caused it, but in reality, it was just him saying it how it was. Do players take that the right way? No. But should they? Yes. If Cat and Wiggins were to take that in a good light, I guarantee you Wiggins would be a solid small forward. Because right now
that's for sure.
He'd be way better. Cat would be way better defensively. That team could have done a whole lot more if they would have that same attitude that Jimmy had. Sure, it might have been very intense, but that's what wins games. How do you think Miami, did all this? It's because of his intensity. It starts off he was the leader.
That's Miami's culture to begin with. It's not that Jimmy Butler changed Miami's culture. Jimmy Butler just fits Miami's culture that they already had.
They didn't do anything before Miami was there. Before Jimmy was there, I'm sorry. Before Jimmy got there, they were out of the playoffs.
But
that season.
No, they still had a great culture. They just added an all-star player. Wait, let's not act like
Right.
Miami is not a great
Let's
culture.
not act like it's a just situation.
Yeah,
You can't
it's like
throw
they
in
already
just
had
in
it
there
already.
because
Yeah,
it's like
They had the culture. Jimmy Butler just fit that culture, and he's an all-star, so obviously he's going to elevate the
so
team.
now look. So now
okay,
look.
but let's talk about that elevation though.
Yeah, exactly. So when Jimmy Butler signed there, a lot of people were saying they might not even make the playoffs. So obviously,
I don't know. I think, bro, it's the Eastern Conference. I don't think not many people are
I mean,
saying.
any team can make it in the Eastern, unless
Bro.
you're the Knicks. Unless you're the Knicks.
So what I'm saying is though that a lot of people were saying that either he was going to be a first round exit or he was just not going to make the playoffs entirely. What does that mean though? Like Jimmy Butler took that team that didn't make the playoffs last season into the NBA Finals. That's all because of his leadership,
all under one season,
and
all
the
under one
way
season.
on the way that he plays the game, his mentality towards the game.
But if we're gonna be real, the Miami Heat doesn't make the NBA Finals if they don't go into the bubble format. If we're gonna be completely honest, like they beat the Bucks.
Like that's a topic for another day.
Yeah,
that's another topic.
We could have an entire podcast just on the bubble.
Remember, the Suns went 8-0, and they still haven't
8-0 in the bubble. I mean, the bubble, and Paul George was doing trash in the bubble, but he was also doing a little trash before that.
That's a discussion for another day, bro.
The bubble is its own thing, but
that's another. Yeah. But look, so in the end, we did get into a lot of topics. We actually didn't even get into the last topic that we wanted to, which was the Pacers. But that's for another day because this has been a pretty long podcast, honestly.
Yeah.
You realize, but yeah. So as we all can see, Johnny's perception on Jimmy Butler is insane to me.
I like Jimmy Butler, but he's not a winner. He's not a winner. Don't come up to a franchise acting like you're a winner, but you're not. Don't. You're not LeBron.
Well, he was literally doing what LeBron was doing.
Yeah, true. But hey, it's changed now. He's Jimmy Butler. He's the guy now. But I'm talking about just before then.
Okay.
Well, I mean, his mentality didn't change, but I'll let you.
He just
Yeah. Well, okay. We're definitely gonna come back to this. 100%. We're gonna talk about Jimmy Butler because there's a lot of things we got. Oh, okay. Anyway. This is a good podcast tonight. We talked about a few things. Danilo Gallinari's name was even thrown out. By the way, did you guys see the post that he posted? Like, where to next? Like, he literally asked his fans where they want him to go. If I had Twitter, I'd definitely tell him to come to
Golden State. Go to Golden State.
Come off the bench. Johnny wants him to go.
Come off the bench.
Bro, LA, bro. He's going to LA.
LA.
Go to Golden State. Yo, you're counting out Golden State. Just because they didn't go to the NBA Finals for one season, he's going to. Don't forget, we still got players.
They're gonna offer $30 million, dude. I'm telling you. But anyway,
to the Knicks, bugging.
They're offering.
He's not gonna go back there. He's not going back there.
I'm telling you right now, they're giving him $30 million. But anyway,
he won't take it.
That's just a little, hatred towards the Knicks because the Knicks suck. But anyway, on today's podcast, we saw that Daryl Morey has been assigned as the president of basketball operations. What will he do with that team? We still don't know, but we're very excited to see what's next. Houston Rockets also signed their new head coach. What will he be able to do? And who will be their next general manager? Whatever he decides to do with that team, then we could talk more about Stephen Silas and what that team actually will become. Will they be a middle-of-the-pack team like the Phoenix Suns? Or will they be championship contenders? And finally, we talked about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler. We'll talk more about that another day.
A problem, not a problem. There's a lot of opinions on that, but
a whole lot of opinions that I'm so excited to talk about. But that concludes today's podcast. Isandro, Johnny, Jeremy. Even though Jeremy was a late addition tonight, it was really great talking to you guys. Hopefully, we can do this again soon. We're expecting to do an NFL podcast very soon. I'm very excited on that. We have a lot of stuff to talk about with that. But
yeah,
today we're going to end it off on this note. So please like, subscribe, and hit that like button because we are the Dunces. Shout out Jordan, by the way. All right, guys.
That's Jordan, the GOAT.
Peace out, guys.